Psalm chapter 62, Through the Bible. Part 2. The Test of Faith. Truly my soul waiteth upon God. From him cometh my salvation. Psalm 62, verse 1. No doubt there were those around David, fanatics of those days, who urged that he stand his ground and thereby exhibit his faith, for he was God's anointed, and God should overrule this whole matter. Not David. He said that his life was in God's hands, and it seemed best that he leave. David lived above the hue and cry of little men. He did not listen to pious shibboleths, for while little men cried for a miracle, David avowed to walk in the dark, trusting God. Oh, for a faith like that, a God-given faith. What others called defeat, to David was but a test of faith. David can retreat from Jerusalem, and it is still going to sound like a victory. He only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be greatly moved. Psalm 62, verse 2. Zadok, the high priest, is come out to go with David. He is faithful and has brought the ark, a symbol to the Israelites of God's presence in their midst, and he is following David when the old king turns and, seeing the ark, commands Zadok to carry it back to the city, for, if I shall find favor in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me again, and show me both it and his habitation. But if he thus say, I have no delight in thee, behold, here am I, let him do to me as seemeth good unto him. 2 Samuel 15 verses 25 and 26. If I can but make this great truth clear, so that it will live for you. Here is a man so wholly committed to God, that he turns aside from any thought of merit in the ark, clinging only unto God and saying to Zadok, that if it is God's will for him to come back to this city, he will be allowed to come back. If not, then he is in God's hands. He refuses to attempt to force God to do anything, but determines to go the way God leads, regardless of the path. Oh, to live like that today. How long will ye imagine mischief against a man? Ye shall be slain all of you. As a bowing wall shall ye be, and as a tottering fence. Psalm 62, verse 3. David tells them that they are just running over him, as a bowing wall, and as a tottering fence. He says, How long will ye imagine mischief against a man? Ye shall be slain all of you. Here he is thinking of Ziba, servant of Mephibosheth, who did a dastardly thing, thinking he would gain favor with David. He said his master had deserted, which was not true. Then he thinks of Ahithophel, his best friend and wisest of his counselors. Ahithophel went over to the other side in David's darkest hour. Here in this psalm David is speaking of Ahithophel prophetically as Judas Iscariot. Ahithophel was in the inner circle and was the man that David leaned upon. David says that they are running over him as a mob runs over a fence, but he says it is all right, if it is God's will. They only consult to cast him down from his excellency. They delight in lies. They bless with their mouth, but they curse inwardly. Selah. Psalm 62, verse 4. Let us understand David's action under the bitter attack of Shimei. While David was on the throne, Shimei bowed like the rest of them. But, when he was free to express his heart of hatred, we find him cursing David and hurling rocks after him as he fled from Jerusalem. David had a loyal captain by the name of Abishai, a son of Zeruiah, who said to the king, Why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go over, I pray thee, and take off his head. 2 Samuel 16, verse 9. My friend, if you want an example of what the scripture means by, Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Romans 12 verse 19, Listen to David as he replies to his captain. And the king said, So let him curse, because the Lord hath said unto him, Curse David. Who shall then say, Wherefore hast thou done so? 2 Samuel 16 verse 10. In other words, David tells him, God has permitted him to curse me. You let him curse me. Have you ever stopped to think, my friend, that God has given you certain enemies for a definite purpose, to test you, that you might become a better Christian? Do not become alarmed at the presence of enemies and difficulties that God has permitted to cumber your path. He is not bearing hard on you. Would that we would trust God to the extent that we would not cry out at a time like that.